They claim to tackle the climate emergency, but this is a lie. They have made speeches, they have set targets, but they have not put in place policies and a proper plan to deal with the climate and the ecological emergency. The message they give us is this: it's all fine, we're looking after you. But their actions demonstrate a criminal failure to take responsibility for our future. That's greenwash, and it's really dangerous. They must show us they are serious by immediately ending all new funding for fossil fuels. They have not done this and are still issuing licences for new gas and oil extraction in the North Sea. How can we believe what they say when their actions are so completely contrary to their words? I'm angry. Greenwash is dangerous. It delays and sabotages the action we need. It lulls people into a false sense of security. We are running out of time. Our children are running out of time. I think on your behalf, to the people over there who run our country, we demand an immediate end to all new fossil fuel funding and development. I think I want climate justice. What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Well, let's march and give them that message loud and clear. Thank you.
I just want to say that the sound rickshaw is here today, but unfortunately the man who operates it has been told that he hasn't got permission to use it. So he will be with us, he will be following us, but it's really disappointing that we have to depend on this system when we have the sound rickshaw here today. So we're ready to go, and we're going to move off in this direction up towards the Department of Business, Industry and Energy Supply. Okay.
The lady in the green t-shirt through here, the older lady with the short curly hair.
Yeah. Okay, do we follow you?
No, I guess it would have been.
Okay, follow them men.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That would make fun.
Yeah, no, that doesn't quite have permission for the rest of it.
Come on.
We follow you. Are you all ready? Stand back. Okay, we are off. Oh yeah, I like them guys. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. That she showed it to me. Yeah. Absolutely. No, great. Really good.
We're here with a rebel, Suzanne, today at Parliament Square. Parliament Square seems to be a bit of a habit for Extinction Rebellion rebels as a venue, because it's a pity we have to protest so much about the things that we care about. One of them is this new idea of greenwashing that's become very apparent in the last decade or so. Suzanne, why are you here today with XR Oxford for this march, and what does greenwashing mean?
Okay, we're here today to really call out the government and all government departments for what we call and what they call and what everybody now calls greenwashing. What greenwashing is, I mean, it's sort of like whitewashing. You know, when you're whitewashing something, but this is greenwashing, which means making it sound as though what you're doing is green and good for the climate, but in fact it isn't. And the problem with greenwashing is that it's actually quite dangerous, because it makes everyone think that a lot is going on and there's nothing to worry about, that the government's got it all in hand, we've got the policies, we've got the plans, everything's fine, but actually it isn't. So that it does mean that greenwashing can not only confuse people, but it can delay real action. And that's what's happening at the moment, and that's why we're here. I mean, some examples of greenwashing are the kinds of empty promises that the government is making to cut fossil fuel dependency, but at the same time issuing licenses for new oil and gas in the North Sea, and about to open a massive, or at least not refusing to close or to prevent the opening of a massive new oil and gas field in Cambodia, the Shetlands. So
it's the ultimate hypocrisy, isn't it?
It is hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy, and it's downright lying too, quite honestly.
Yes, it
you
is.
know. So greenwash is in a way quite a polite way of saying these are terrible lies. So we're going to be marching. We're gathering here in Parliament Square, and we're going to be marching down Whitehall and stopping at various places, and we're going up to the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. So we'll be moving around a little bit, keeping it fluid, and we've got we've got some great props. We've got a big washing line with green wash spelled out on the shirts hanging from it. We've got a human washing line, which spells green wash on one side of the t-shirts and hypocrisy on the other side. And we've got a samba band to keep everybody upbeat.
Yep, no washing machines today. I think they're probably a bit too heavy, aren't they?
The washing machine is enormous and very heavy, so no,
Yes,
we haven't got the
no.
washing machine today.
But I do look forward to what you have got to show us. And,
I think it's going to be a great action, and it is something that people really need to know about. And just the other thing to mention is we've got leaflets, and we're going to do as much outreach as we can to, and just, so that the public knows what is happening and can be alert to it, because in the run-up to COP26 we're going to get more and more and more greenwashing.
Indeed,
all the time. So people need to know this isn't true,
It's a huge PR exercise.
It's a huge PR exercise.
It needs to be foiled, really, doesn't it? Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed.
So that's what we hope to be doing today.
Thank you very much for your comments.
All right, welcome.
Yes, we're just about to start off on our march here down, I believe it's Victoria Street, towards the Department of BEIS, which is Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. And we're going to highlight the problem of greenwashing today by corporations and financiers and the government, of course, who is not doing nearly enough to meet its targets and yet is making it seem as though everything is just great. We're going to follow the marchers from XR Oxford this morning, and we're going to try get some interviews along the way and to get the opinions of some of the people who are taking part. I need to say that there are many types of, if we just walk along with me, many types of greenwashing, and we'll try to talk about those en route. So let's head back to the march, and I'll talk to you again shortly.
Right.
Okay.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! And when do we want it? Now! What do we want? Climate justice! And when do we want it? Now! Extinction!
to stop, are they? I'm not quite sure what's going on. Can you hear better than me?
I can hear him and he's specifically talking to
Hi, good morning, and thanks for being here with Extinction Rebellion. Could you tell me who you are, if you're comfortable with that, and why you're here today?
I'm Molly, and I'm Kate, and we're two students, and we're here because we're demanding the government to end fossil fuel investments, and we're outside today at the Department of Business and Energy and Industrial Strategy, so we think it's the perfect place to get our voices heard. Climate justice.
That's right. And there are the. Did you make those yourselves as well? Okay, I think they're excellent.
We're sisters as well.
Oh right, okay. I did not get that at all. And what do you expect to? What would you expect to achieve out of coming here today?
Just some action from the government, no more lies. Yeah, we know they've been doing some things like ending kind of fossil fuel investments in offshore. In places overseas.
Yes.
So they've taken some steps, but we just want it to accelerate a lot faster.
Yes.
That's what we need to do.
Oh, you are. You're well aware of what's going on. Very apprised of. There is some divestment going on, but there's a lot of greenwash going on as well, isn't there? Yes.
Faster pace would be great.
Yes. Well, thanks very much for being here, and you've made it onto the XR live stream. So. Thanks very much indeed. Back to the live stream. Thanks.
Hi. Yeah. The most interesting development here in front of the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. We've got a line of police vehicles with their lights flashing, approaching us. I'm not quite sure what that's about. But yes, we're here to protest about the government's greenwashing. It's not just prevalent in the government, but worldwide, with financial institutions and corporations and such. I mean, if you take one example of it, for instance, we've got a billionaire owner of Ineos, Jim Ratcliffe, a British citizen who has decided to use greenwash to promote his company, but in an unsustainable way. He's actually using sailing and cycling, which are relatively benign forms of transport, and and he's sponsoring them, where in fact he actually owns one of the biggest plastic producing companies in the world. So this is pretty divisive, actually. It's a big PR stunt as far as a lot of us are concerned, and we need to put pressure on the government and companies like this to really come clean and stop using all the tools in their PR box to fool people, to trick people. Greenwashing is really abhorrent. We need to tell the truth, which is the first of our demands in Extinction Rebellion, and we want people to act now. Second demand, third demand, we would like all the citizens of this country and around the world, in fact, to be involved in decision making about what happens in our future, and not just have our futures decided by the whims of billionaires who are also polluting the planet at the same time they're telling us that they're doing a heck of a lot of good, which is clearly not the case. So we've also got the problem of offsetting, of course, which is very controversial, increasingly controversial. Things like planting trees. You probably have a mobile phone provider who says, if you buy this from us, we'll plant X number of trees for you. And we know that really this doesn't work. It's not the only thing that's going to save us. We need people corporations and the government, financiers, to actually step up and do the right thing, in addition to all these little measures which really aren't going to be that effective. It just allows companies to continue with their unsustainable behavior by fooling the public. So again, it's a lovely idea, planting trees, but of course we found also that nature-based solutions are probably going to be a lot better and a lot easier to allow nature to regenerate itself if we leave it well enough alone. And I have an example from the area I live. We've got the wonderful Knepp estate in Sussex, and they've left their farmland alone for more than a decade, I believe, and they've seen the stork, the purple emperor, and the turtle dove return to us. So this is a strategy worth bearing in mind. But it's greenwashing just to think we can plant trees and get away with it.
Net zero. The bottom line is the government is way off track to meet its own targets. It's all talk and no action. Meanwhile, greenwashing really matters. Seas are rising, CO2 is getting worse all the time, there are floods and fires in Europe, and things are only going to get worse. Tell these people behind me, are you angry?
Yes!
I'm very angry. How angry are you?
Angry!
There are many, many examples of government hypocrisy. I'm frightened about what could happen in my lifetime, let alone what things will be like for our children. Perhaps you feel the same.
Yeah!
We will not accept greenwash. We demand that real action is taken to avert the worst of the climate crisis. The greenwashing propaganda and lies from our government must stop. It induces doubt, and doubt is the friend of anyone who wants to delay climate action. Our government is failing. Each of us has an MP, a representative in Parliament. I beseech you to get in touch with them in advance of COP and make your feelings known. We will not accept greenwash. Talk to each other, talk to your friends, your colleagues. That's been the theme last week of this whole protest, isn't it? Come to the table and talk. It's important that we let other people know what is going on. I want climate justice for everybody on the planet. What do you want?
Climate justice!
When do you want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now! Here's your mic.
And I've just finished. Thank you.
Hey, any other speakers? You can give them from the mic here. People will hear you a bit better.
I'll say a few words.
So this building behind us, I've sent a few emails to these guys through the Freedom of Information Act. So I'm from a small place, don't want to name it, and we've got an arms factory in our local area. So I sent an email to this place over here saying something along the lines of, there's this arms company in my area and I would like to know where they're exporting their weapons to. Because I've been told you're the guys that give the arms export licenses out. And they said, yes, we do give arms export licenses out. What do you want to know about it? And I said, can you tell me where they deliver it to and how many times? And they sent an email along the lines of, yes, this department does hold information. We can tell you since 2011, they've exported to 52 countries and they've got 5 open export licenses. So open export means they don't have to declare what they're doing. It's just an agreement. Things go in and between that country. And then I said, is any of them 52 countries on our human rights watch list? And they said, it's not this department to release that information out, but we do have it. So this company is exporting to 52 countries. I don't know who they are, but I could probably have a wild guess because I've been following them on Twitter. So some of the countries they export to is Saudi Arabia, Israel, Vietnam, Germany, Brazil, Hungary. The list goes on and on and on. So either it be climate change or it be war, they don't tell the truth. And they said the reason why they don't want to give the information out, because in future the arms company might not give them any information at all, which is pretty disgusting to see what happens. Because we've seen the military arms complex this last 2 weeks, how much of a failure it is, how much billions and trillions of money was spent in Afghanistan, how many British lives have been lost, how many Afghan lives have been lost. You've got one of the most advanced armies in the world withdraw with guys on the back of scooters. It just goes to show you war never ever ends with a happy ending. Be it anti-crime or anti-war, this department has all the information and they're scared to release it because they do realise if that information comes out, everyone will be pissed off. So we asked this department behind us, be a whistleblower, because there's a few of them around. We've got one in Belmarsh right now, Julian Assange. So big up to Julian. So if you're in there and you can hear us, come to us, whistleblow, do what you have to, because we've seen 2 billionaires or trillionaires go to space. Instead of these 2 guys going to space, they could have ended world hunger. So, and I just want to add, if anyone's around London next Monday, the biggest arms fair in the world is taking place in London. It's called Dicey. It's happening down at the Docklands. So if you all can make it, see you on Monday on the 6th of September outside the Docklands, Dicey. So, yeah, they shouldn't be coming advertising their weapons of war in London. But yeah, tell the truth. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on now, and what we need to do is to move, everybody moves off over to the left, to the pavement, and then we're going to turn round and head back down Victoria Street back to Parliament Square. So if everybody can move to the left, so there is space for those in the front to come back down on this carriageway we've just come on.
Guys,
drop it.
Hey, Vlad.
Once they relieve this area, I can start getting the alcohol.
I have been researching hydrogen boilers and fuels and I cannot find one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to slip the banner?
Extinction Rebellion. They went to JP Morgan, which is a very large bank which invests a lot in fossil fuels. Let's go watch the videos of what they got up to there.
Get out from here! You understand? Outside! Outside! No! Outside! This is not safe. You're breaking the glasses. Get out from here. Come on. No. Now you have to
He's free down!
I'm standing outside the Bank of JP Morgan in Chase on Embankment, and just now, along with a group of other women, I damaged one of the windows in the building. I didn't do this lightly. It is not a wanton act of vandalism. It is not an act of violence. It was carefully considered, and we did a risk assessment beforehand to ensure that we do it as safely as possible. We did this because this bank has continued to fund fossil fuels, and it's not simply old investments, it's continued investments into the extraction of fossil fuels. Since 2015, when the Paris Agreement was announced, they have invested $317 billion in fossil fuels. This is killing people, it is killing our planet, it is destroying livelihoods. The destruction is caused by the climate chaos, financed by banks such as JP Morgan, pales into insignificance compared to the breaking of a couple of windows. We're hoping that this action will bring to light and raise public awareness about the destruction that banks such as JP Morgan and the dodgy investments, the dangerous investments are causing.
Hi, so we're back on the march and I'm here with Sarah Lannon. Tell us what's going on.
Hey Zoe. Yeah, so we've just had a little trip up to BEIS. I really need to think of some kind of what that acronym stands for, because the reason that we headed up to BES is because they are basically the people responsible for the industrial strategy, for the economic strategy that this government is following, and they are the people responsible for the continuing investment, not just the continuing investment in fossil fuels, but new investment, new oil fields. And so we've just paid a little visit to BES and just pointed out to them the error of their ways, but more seriously, the fact is that they are funding the destruction of our future, and we made the point that they need to stop the harm. Stop the harm and stop funding new fossil fuel investments. We've now turned around, we've broken through the police barricade that was stopping us going back to Parliament Square, and we're heading back to Parliament Square. And then I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. Calling on government to stop the greenwashing, which BES is part of, and also making the point, I hope, to some of the Treasury officials as well, who hopefully are going to be going in and out, that we actually need to start funding planetary repair. So it's not just about stopping the harm, it's also the fact that we actually have to start repairing those natural processes. So just at the end of the march, and just headed back into Parliament Square. Quite
I'm just going to hand over the hay to rather startled Kate Oldfield. She's going to explain why she's down here today. Kate.
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm Kate, and I'm from the CEEville Alliance Oxfordshire, or as we've now just recently rebranded, 0 Hour Oxfordshire. And I'm here to support XR, who are obviously one of our supporters. And we're just here giving out some leaflets, talking to people about the C bill and trying to generate some interest and more awareness about the bill with passers-by and also people who are here protesting today.
Thank you. I'm going to walk forward to see if I can catch up with the march. So over here we have the vegan free meals. They have a donation pot, but they have been absolutely incredible through the rebellion for keeping our rebels fed. And it's a nice, calm march heading towards back to Parliament Square. So not quite sure what the route is today, but I'm sure we'll find out. We've got 2 food trolleys today. We're not going to go hungry. Good vegan, nutritious meals have been most of the protests over the last, I think, 10 days now. Like 6, we're just heading off, slightly veering to the right. I think the police are wondering which way we're going to.
Hi, we're here with the greenwash busters.
They've been released from the police station last night after being arrested for spraying chalk on the pavement in front of the Bank of England. So we're really pleased to see them here, and actually it was a travesty really for doing peaceful, non-violent, direct action in front of the Bank of England to highlight the problem of greenwash that we're here about today, for them to be arrested for such a thing. You would see yesterday, day 9, live on XR, UK's Facebook live stream, you'll see what happened. This is just a real problem. We need to be able to allow people like this to do their actions in order to bring awareness to the population without penalising them in this way. And here they are.
Who are you gonna call?
Greenwash busters!
Who are you gonna call?
Greenwash busters!
Who are you gonna call? Greenwash busters! Who are you gonna call?
Greenwash busters!
Who are you gonna call?
Greenwash busters!
Hi, so I'm here with Lindsay, who is nearly 88 years old. She's out here on the Extinction Rebellion March. What made you come along, Lindsay?
Well, I've been protesting all my life, and it just feels like the right thing to do, though it seems to have, alas, so little effect, because money speaks, and money is not ever on the right side of justice, unfortunately.
So, Lindsay, you were on Greenham Common marches, and you've been multiple marches in Oxford on Extinction Rebellion. What's inspired you to get involved with Extinction Rebellion?
Well, when I heard about Extinction Rebellion, I thought that's the answer, because I was getting so low about climate emergency, and still I feel it is the answer, but we just have to get more and more people out on the streets shouting louder, that's all. And I think I've just heard that climate emergency is the second most important thing that voters are taking notice of. So maybe the politicians will start taking notice of what the public is taking notice of.
There's a large number of police vans that have gone past you while we've been talking. Does that make you nervous?
Well, I would quite like to get arrested, but they don't seem to want to arrest me. There's always huge numbers of police and police vans and drones and helicopters and everything costing taxpayers money and for really no purpose, because we are not violent and we are simply saying what should be obvious to everybody. Well, of course, I think so. It's not obvious to politicians, unfortunately. It is obvious to the public.
Any last things you'd like to say?
No, power to the people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's go catch up with the march. If we can get past all the police vans.
Thanks. Tina? No, I'd like to say a couple of things. I've got a banner here in front of me. Nothing is impossible, and I think that's a message that we'd also like to send to the UK government. It's not too late to act. You can always act, and it would be an amazing thing for you to do, to say that you are going to not give consent for the new Sheffield oil field and not give consent to the new coal field in Cumbria before COP26, which we are supposed to be hosting with the example that we are showing the world being a very positive one, and there's not an impossible task to actually mitigate climate change. So I love this. I love this banner. It's a very hopeful thing, and it's very typical of Extinction Rebellion to have just hope at the centre of everything. So I'm just going to stick with these people for a minute and maybe even just go up to them. I don't know where. You can cut away from me at any time, but I just wanted to show that the people holding up this banner are actually ordinary people just like you and I. So thanks, it's a lovely banner. So where does the banner come from? You don't know? Okay then. So it's a wonderful message that you're sending. Did you join Extinction Rebellion because of hope, because of to try to do the impossible, or to try to do the possible?
Yeah, first it was despair, and it was upset, and I couldn't believe it, and then I thought there's something I can do about this. Nothing's impossible. If the government acts now, we can sort it out. And they don't have to say no. They don't have to say no, we can't do it, it's too much of a challenge. Look at what happened with COVID. As soon as they realised that was getting bad, snap, they took control. They implemented all these things. They sorted everything out. It's a bit late, but they did it, and that's what I want them to do.
That's a wonderful message. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to camera. So here we are. We're marching down Whitehall now, and I'm just marching with these wonderful people with this wonderful banner. So we've picked up some young people ahead of us here who are just walking ahead of us. I'm just to speak to them if possible. I don't know what the message is going to be, but it's a bit risky. But hey, guys, you're walking along with us. So what brings you? Is it just for fun or what?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, you're not going to join us. Come on.
I don't even know what's going on.
It's about the planet all heating up and getting on fire and what have you, and global warming. Yeah. Trying to get the government to do something about it. Are you worried about climate change at all?
No.
Oh, you're not. Okay. All right then. Okay, it's just a novelty thing for some people. So they're just having fun, and that's they're lovely guys, but they just don't realise that they just don't have long to just walk about in that carefree manner. And you know, we have people in carrying this banner, who are as young as they are, but seem to be just a little bit maybe more aware of the climate emergency. And it may also be that the young men ahead of me are just victims of the lack of a narrative from our government that says, hey crew, we're in trouble here, we've got to do something about this. And the narrative coming out of the government is just absolutely appalling in relation to the warnings coming out of places like the United Nations. Anyway, that's my bit, and we cut back to somebody else. So that's great.
Hello, so Marilyn, isn't it? That's right. Hi, yeah, tell us what's made you come along today.
Well, I've been part of the protest on and off for the last 2 weeks, and today there's a focus on government greenwashing, which is a really important point. We want to get out to the public that the government is saying all the aims and objectives they have to deal with the climate crisis. But actually, when you look at their records and when you look at what they're actually doing and not doing, it's incredibly important to make people aware. So, for example, they've stopped the Green Homes grant, they are investigating a coal mine, a lot of people know about that, and an oil field off Shetland or somewhere up in the north. So all these things just demonstrate terrible hypocrisy, and that's what we call greenwashing. Saying, oh yes, 2050, zero emissions, but everything they're doing is completely against that. The science shows that. The IPCC report has slammed the government's record. So that's what today's about, greenwashing.
So we've had this is I think day 10 of Extinction Rebellion's Impossible Rebellion. What do you think what do you think it achieves on the streets?
Well, I hope that it gets the message out in as many different types of media as possible, but I don't know how much the media is really taking this on at the moment. That worries me a lot. I think there are one or two reports in the papers about arrests, about a bit of police violence, but it seems to take that to get the media to take much interest.
There's a whole campaign which is Media Tell the Truth about the climate emergency, so they are talking about what's happening on the streets, and they need to get more of the sense of emergency in there, I think. But so what would you say to people watching this stream?
Well, I would just say, inform yourself, take notice of what's happening. Don't criticise Extinction Rebellion for disruption, because so many other actions like petitions and marches and letters haven't had the effect. So I would say, understand the emergency that we're in, understand the crisis, get yourself informed about it.
Anything else you want to add? Why did you join up?
I just hope next time we can get more people onto the streets. I think Greta Thunberg is right, you know. You've got to get so many people out on the street. And next time we need even more. So we all need to try and get our friends who are sympathetic out onto the streets.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's all good. I've got the section on the weekend just for me.
We have the Greenwash Busters here. Are any of you up for talking about what you're doing?
So people are going on to Extinction.
We've got a live stream, yeah? Is that okay? Okay. So, tell us who you are as a group and what you're doing.
Well, we're the Greenwash Busters and we're from Bristol. We're from the Evergreens affinity group and we're here to try and bust some greenwash. Too many large corporations and financial institutions are just smothering us in greenwash. They pretend they're heading towards net zero when they've got impossible targets. So we are here to point out their greenwash and to try and stop them.
And yeah, people are going to watch this on a live stream. What would you say to people?
Be aware of greenwash. Don't take things for granted. Don't imagine that because they say they're going to be net zero by 2050. A good example is for us in Bristol Airport, who claim they're a net zero airport. But of course, that means net zero without taking into account any of the planes, any of the emissions from the planes, any of the emissions from the vehicles that are driving there, or any of the other emissions. So it's just literally net zero for their buildings. So that is a fantastic example, in fact featured in Private Eye, of the type of greenwash that we're trying to tackle here as the Greenwash Busters.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
And the flip side of their message is hypocrisy. If I say greenwash, you say greenwash. Hypocrisy. Greenwash. Hypocrisy. And we're here again at Downing Street to tell the government that we know they are one of the biggest greenwashers that exists. Boris, you have made speeches, set targets and international commitments about the climate crisis. But we need actions, not words. Let's just have a look at some of the things they've said and then... Confronting, Business and Energy Secretary, said, "We are sending a clear message around the world that the UK will be a nation of green energy." What did he actually do? Continue to issue new licences for oil and gas extraction in the North Sea with the aim of maximising economic recovery. Shame on you, Mr. Confronting. Shame on you. The Energy Minister, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, said, "We need to urgently end our reliance on fossil fuels." But what has actually happened? The government has refused to block, so far, the development of the huge Cambo oil and gas field near Shetland. Drilling will continue until 2050, generating carbon dioxide emissions equivalent to the running of a coal power station for more than 16 years. Shame on you! Shame on you! Fossil fuels must stay in the ground. Lastly, our favourite politician, not Mr. Boris Johnson, our greenwashing government, and he's the head of it, said, "I'm pleased to say today that the UK will end taxpayer support for fossil fuel projects overseas as soon as possible." What have they actually done? What has our greenwash government actually done? They have invested 750 million in a huge gas export terminal in Mozambique, fueling conflict in the region as well as contributing to climate breakdown. We know as well, all too well, because it's been in the news, that the government has cut international aid. It's cut the percentage of GDP that it's prepared to give away as international aid. And that in itself is extremely significant and will undermine the climate efforts of countries around the world. And of course, literally no country is an island. We are the planet together. If one country cannot be part of that, then we all countries need to do their part. We demand an immediate end to all new fossil fuel funding and development. Yay! We have many more examples of government greenwash. I recommend to you the greenwash.org website, which lists them all, and it's very, very shaming. Boris, government, you should all be ashamed. Fossil fuels have to stop now. Fossil fuels? Stop now. Fossil fuels? Stop now. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now. Who are we? Extinction Rebellion. That's right, Extinction Rebellion. And we have been on the streets for 2 weeks. And that will continue. It's not over yet. And together we will make people listen to our message. We are petrified of what will happen to our planet, to our children. We need climate action now, and greenwashing is a dreadful, dreadful sin against all the things that need to happen for climate action. What do we want? Climate justice. When do we want it? Now. Thank you. Yay!
Okay, we're going to now head up towards Parliament Square, not Parliament Square, Trafalgar Square, and I just want to take this opportunity of thanking everybody, especially for the fantastic Samba band that's here, Hamilton, and for everybody else who's out on the streets today and have been for the last 2 weeks. It's absolutely essential that we continue this drive to end all government hypocrisy and government greenwashing. So let's move on. Thanks for everybody for coming, and we'll see you again on the streets.
Where's he next? We're heading that way. Should we go up to the front? Anyone up for interviews while you're here? Anyone up for interviews while you're here?
Sorry. This isn't working either, is it?
Mr. Patrick, we'll see if I this time.
I wish I would be a good speaker, but I'm not.
It's good, it's good. Yeah, tell us why you're here today. So I'm here today because of greenwashing. Our government says it's doing this, and it does really terrible things. It cancels the programs like the net zero housing and and yet it continues to invest our taxpayers' money in fossil fuels. So many things which are negative, but it shouts about the things which are just minor. Hi, so this is Angie Delta. Tell us why you've come down here. Well, we were just passing the MOD. People forget that actually under 60% of the carbon emissions come by the military. Just add on top of that all the diversity.
Somebody's lost their camera. So I'm with the hypocrisy marchers. The thing about this feed is I don't know when to say anything and when not to. When am I just a
Important because if we don't actually get out into the streets, if we do everything online, just ignore it. They can't really ignore disruptions in the streets. So although it disrupts people's everyday life, it's important for people to understand why we're doing it. We're not doing it to disrupt their lives. We're doing it to put pressure on the authorities to do something.
Anything else you want to add?
It needs thousands and thousands of this. The power abusers think that if they just carry on as they are, we'll just go back home and get fed up. Despondent and depressed. And so we have to keep hope alive and get into the streets.
Thank you so much, Angie.
Hey! Rebellion! Hey! Extinction! Rebellion! Hey! Extinction! Rebellion!
I'll hold on to it. Hi, so we're here with Angie Zelter, who has been a protester for many years. Angie, why have you come down here today?
I've come down here today to join Extinction Rebellion. We're doing a brilliant job and I need to be here the message out in the streets.
Yeah, and Extinction Rebellion have they've taken over junctions and roads over the last 10 days. Do you think that's an effective way of campaigning?
Yes, I mean it's not the only way of campaigning, and of course all these people here are doing all the other things, signing petitions and writing to their MPs, taking out planning applications, trying to stop GP uses going up, coal mines being opened. So it's not the only thing that people here are doing. But we do have to get into the streets as often and with as many thousands of people as possible, because the government just ignores all those other things that we're doing. It's essential.
And Extinction Rebellion uses a style of protest, non-violent direct action. Describe that and why do you think that's important?
Non-violence is really important because it protects us and protects everybody else from being hurt, but also because we can't win by using violence. We're actually a very cooperative species, and the most important thing to do is non-violently create change. And the authorities and the government have all the power of violence in their hands, and the only thing that we can do is say no non-violently. It's really, really important, non-violence.
And so describe what's going on today. What's the issue today?
The issue today is about the hypocrisy of the government, greenwashing. It's all the government statements. If you look at them in any kind of depth, you realise that it's just hypocritical statements that give the impression to the public that they're doing fine, that they're creating all the changes that we need to see. But actually they're not. It's greenwashing. So all of the different issues that they're talking about, you have to look at them and see what they're really doing. For instance, I won't give you all the examples because there are just so many of them, but say, stop the government thinking that it's fooling us, because it's not. We do know what's going on, and they've got to change properly.
Any last word to people watching this live stream?
Is that your
Yeah. Well, thank you, Angie Zelter. So lots of police vans up ahead. The police seem to have blocked the road to the right. And I'm just going to dash on and see what is going on up here. We have the Green Busters.
Sorry, is this live stream? This is live stream. Right, yes, I'm here to find it.
My interview didn't work last time, so would you possibly tell me who you are and what you're doing here again?
Sure. We're the Green Busters and we're here to try and bust some greenwash.
And tell us what the issue is today and what you mean by that.
Well, so many corporations and financial institutions and oil companies, everybody is trying to greenwash us all and tell us all that they're doing the right stuff, whereas they're not. Only a tiny percentage are doing the right thing in terms of the climate. So what we need to do is to bash this greenwash. And a very good example of the type of corporate greenwash is Bristol Airport, who are currently saying they're a net zero airport, but in actual fact that's only their buildings. It doesn't take into account any of the planes, any of the plane emissions, taking off, landing, any of the vehicles going there and back. So it's just prime greenwash, and that's what we're going to bust.
Do you know what's going on ahead? Looks like they're entering into Trafalgar Square in quite large numbers.
Yes, I think it's just a march about greenwash as far as I'm aware. We've done just been outside government, outside Downing Street. So here I think maybe there's more speeches. Great.
Let's go find out.
Greenwash.
Okay, thank you very much. not for little girls. It's not a charger. Yeah, then I might just go to Instagram. I might switch to Instagram. Could you can you give him
So we're here today outside JP Morgan Chase to highlight the devastating impact that they're having on the planet today. They are the #1 investor in fossil fuels of all banks, and they are funding a hideous amount of projects that are completely destroying our planet. We're here today to highlight this to the world and to make this common knowledge, because this is, the lives of our children are at stake. There's no choice. It's a necessity. We have to act. Otherwise, the human race, sooner or later, will become extinct because of climate change.
Do you want to tell me what actually happened?
We came here today to break the windows. As you can see behind us, we were quite successful, and we managed to break 3 panes, and nobody was harmed. It was just the windows that we were going to break.
Anything else you want to add?
I want to add, just to share, looking at these wonderful, beautiful women here who have all come out with a lot of courage today. It takes a lot of bravery to do something like this and to stand up for what is right. And I'm very proud of all of these people here today.
Black.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, you're on right now. Ah.
So we've just broken the windows at JP Morgan, who are the world's biggest investor in fossil fuels. We've got many credible scientists saying that we are accelerating towards billions of people dying, and we need to stop. The International Energy Agency has said no more fossil fuels from now, and that's not what's happening. So we're here to bring our message in a way that hopefully will be heard and will send ripples out and will help things change, because we have to stop.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'd like to add that there's revolving doors here, and we've broken the revolving doors, and one of the things that happens, one of the ways that this bank is deeply connected to our government here is that government ministers will work in the bank, and then they'll go into the government, and then they'll go back to the bank and go to the government, and there's this deeply disturbing relationship between the people who hold power and the banking system. As we know, it's highly, highly corrupt in this country and extremely dangerous.
Everywhere, like freedom, happy, no problem, no crime, like this, yeah? In some ways, it's about having more laws. Yeah. More laws to stop people polluting. Are you having a nice day out? Sorry? Are you enjoying your day? Whatever, I don't mind, you know what I mean? Anyway, just when you people happy, I'm happy. No problem. Egypt, same England, same.
Can't have too much of this greenwash. You need to get it sucked up. Suck it up. Suck up that greenwash.
Would not be the same without you. You are absolutely fantastic. So, Extinction Rebellion friends, enjoy some rest and relaxation now in the lovely Trafalgar Square. There are many, many members of the public around. It's a great opportunity to involve yourselves in some outreach, talking about greenwash, and we're inviting everyone to the table to talk about what really matters in tackling climate justice. So, thank you again, everybody. And just to wrap up, what do we want? When do we want it? Extinction! Extinction! Thank you, yay!
My audio is gone, so I'm not sure if my audio is going out live, but the march has ended. There's a lot of talk of stopping the harm, stop any new fossil fuel investment, and I think the rest of the day people are taking a little bit of a break. I think it looks like the Samba might be about to regroup. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Please share the links. Share them to your friends that might be interested in what Extinction Rebellion is getting up to, and there's still a few more days of rebellion to happen. So see you on the streets. Bye for now.
We've been hearing a lot about COP26. Someone mentioned it earlier in one of the talks. We've got the most important conference coming up the first 2 weeks in November in Glasgow. It's this existential problem on the earth, which is how we're going to survive into the next century. So it's really important that the nations come to an agreement on how we're going to solve this problem. We're hoping that Boris Johnson is going to be a real climate leader and not let us down. We've been let down in the past before by all the previous COPs. A lot has been promised and not much delivered. When it comes to taking oil out of the ground, well, we could, I suppose, go to hydrogen technologies. That's what they seem to be pinning their hopes on as the replacement to carbon extraction in the near future. But is that really realistic? We've got two types of hydrogen, blue hydrogen and green hydrogen, that we can try to make. to power all the things we need. However, it seems like the government is possibly going to be putting its money into blue hydrogen, which is not sustainable at all. It requires gas to produce, and it also requires carbon capture, which is not a refined technology at the moment. And even if you use carbon capture not to make blue hydrogen, not all of the emissions will be able to be captured. The alternative, of course, is green hydrogen, which we can use our renewables for. We can make it with renewable energy, so that would be much better. So it is such a complex situation, and I really feel, as do many people here, that we're just getting a bunch of slogans. We're not getting practical solutions. Practical solutions, if they have them, are actually being kept within the heart of government, and they're not being explained to us. So we need a citizens' assembly where some people can come and experts can come and explain to us what the real true situation is, what the problems, the solutions, and then we can all sit around the table. We can have representatives from all of our communities, and we can arrive at a solution, what the citizens want to do together. And I really feel, as I'm sure many of you do, that the citizens are already fully on board for the most part about this, and we need people in power to really be held accountable and to act now. So hopefully COP26 is going to be our big moment. If it's not, an Extinction Rebellion is going to be there, and if it's not, we're going to continue to be out in the streets, because we just simply have to pressure the government continually until we get some action. We're going to go back to some of the action now in Trafalgar Square.
In May 2019, the UK declared a climate emergency. Since then, more and more people around the world have woken up to the climate and ecological crisis, putting ever-growing pressure on the people in power. They have started to act. Not acting as in taking climate action, but acting as in role-playing politics, acting as saviors, playing with words, trying to convince us that everything is taken care of.
Pretending to change while they continue pretty much exactly as before. Pretending to wage war against fossil fuel while opening brand new coal mines, oil fields and pipelines. Pretending to have the most ambitious climate policies, bragging about these so-called ambitious climate targets, which are vastly insufficient, by the way, and then get caught for not even trying to reach these targets.
Pretending to care about science while holding climate summits without inviting a single climate scientist. Pretending to care about nature and biodiversity while the world cuts down a forest area the size of a football field every second. Pretending to build back better even as astronomical sums of money are already locked in to dirty projects.
Billions more is being spent on fossil fuels than on clean energy. Those in power compensate with beautiful words and promises that someone in the future will somehow undo their actions and make them net zero. With more and more extreme weather raging all around us, the gap between actions and words is becoming impossible to ignore.
2021 is forecasted to be the second highest rise in emissions to date. The people of this planet are no longer going to fall for the lies of those in power. The climate crisis is something that is not in the distant future. It is here, now, and every delay will make it worse.
We have tried asking nicely. We have tried writing to our MPs, signing petitions, and everything else. None of it has worked. So together, we must take to the streets. Come and join us as we demand they stop the harm and halt all new investment in the fossil fuel industry. We can win this. We must win this.